There's thousands of vehicles in War Thunder, and they're all wonderfully detailed and mostly accurately recreated. However, technical beauty does not always equal in-game performance, which leads to many of those vehicles being underused. And so this video includes a small list of a few vehicles that could use a little more attention. And you won't just be hearing from me, because I reached out to a couple of other content creators as well to get their take on it. And just a short caveat before beginning, this video is arranged in no particular order and will only include tech tree vehicles. Anyways, beginning with my own pick, the Object 685, which is a BR 8.7 light tank in the Russian tech tree. And it's equipped with an auto-loading 100mm main gun, which reloads in 6 seconds. And it also has a laser rangefinder with several potent shell options available as well, including a 330mm Pen APF-SCS, a 390mm Pen HeatFS, and every Russian main's favorite shell, BR 412D APCBC. And with a decent first stage ammo rack size of 12 rounds, as well as exceptional mobility for an 8.0-ish Russian tank, weighing just 16.5 tons with a 455 horsepower engine, and having a 21 km/h reverse speed, you might be inclined to think that this is just another example of pure Russian bias. Well, not so much. While the previous attributes might make it seem like an under-BR'd monster of a light tank, the Object 685 has some glaring issues that are almost a complete deal-breaker for the vehicle, which is probably why you don't see a lot of them in battles. And firstly, the gun handling is terrible, with a maximum turret rotation speed of 20 degrees per second and a vertical speed of 4.5 degrees per second, with a fully upgraded crew and an ace qualification. So that's the absolute best these numbers can be, which are not great. And combine that with the almost complete lack of gun depression typical for Russian vehicles at -4 degrees, the 685 still manages to be a stereotypical Russian tank. And all of that is still without mentioning that it has 0 effective armor and only 3 crew members. But still, that reload, the potential with the 6 seconds and a laser rangefinder, and the decent reverse speed. Anyways, that's all for the 685, and next on the list we have another Russian tank, but instead of being picked by me, this one has been picked by our friend TurnyPlays.
My pick for a tank I think you should definitely try is probably going to be a little higher BR than most people's, because, well, let's be honest, the higher tiers take a lot of time to grind to, and it's not obtainable for everyone. But in this case, we're kind of looking backwards. A lot of people would have grinded quite far into the Russian tree, and may not have bothered to go back and research this one. Yes, the BTR-80A. There's a very simple reason why I highly recommend this tank. We won't talk about the stock grind, where, you know, but spaded at least. This tank is such a different experience to other tanks at this BR. There is no slow tank gameplay, there is no armor meta, there is no even main cannon really. No, instead what you've got is 260 horsepower at nearly 15 tons, and a top speed of 54 miles an hour, or whatever that is in kilometers, and an extremely cool space age looking design. And the reason that you should play this, guys, is because of the fact that it's so different to anything else. This thing is so much fun. If you get a big map, you can run around and shoot people on the side or scout them. You can run to caps and cap them. You can do little sneaky things going around the place. It's just a complete break from your usual tank gameplay, and you just keep coming back for more. You can shoot planes out the skies, you can kill pretty much anything from the side, other than Tiger 2s, which kind of makes down tiers in this a bit of a pain. But it really trains that covert tanker inside you. You have to pick your targets, you have to scout, but doing massive jumps off of mounds and flanking entire enemy teams before they even know where you are just makes this thing so fun, and it was a pretty easy choice for me. Not because of how effective it is, but just because of how fun it is, man. And thank goodness they didn't add it in being so overpowered, which Gaijin could have done so easily, but they didn't. It is balanced, and it is fun. If you skip this and you're desperate for your top tier tanks, I highly suggest going back and researching it. Or if you're on your way through the Russian tree, I highly recommend putting some focus on this thing. It's a great lineup filler and you can use it way above its BR.
And next we have Justin from JustinPlays with his underrated tank pick.
So what vehicle do I believe is very underappreciated? Well, that's an easy one for me. The German Begleit Panzer 57. This thing, which I don't see as often as I'd like to, or maybe that might be a good thing too, because this thing is the jack of all trades. It has a wonderful capability to deal with not only tanks and other vehicles, but also aircraft, because this thing can carry up to 148 VT rounds. On a stabilized platform with thermal sights, laser rangefinder at 9.3, this thing is a baby automatic. So again, it might be a good thing it's not around as often because I do fly a lot, and this thing is incredibly dangerous to fight against if you don't know what you're doing, which happens to be a lot of the time that I've noticed. But aside from that, about Thunder, thank you so much for putting me into another one of these videos. You are absolutely brilliant. Give this guy a sub and a thumbs up because he definitely deserves all the, well, praise for the amount of effort he puts in these videos. So yeah, thank you.
Next up is Nicholas.
My pick is the STRV-103A, or the Zero, as they are pretty much the same tank. The S tanks are usually overlooked, but honestly they can be very good if you have some up knowledge. The main drawback is the hulliming. It has been fixed before and was way worse back then, but yeah, if you aren't on a somewhat flat terrain, the tank will start to have Parkinson's, and that can be annoying. If you can pass that annoyance though, you have a tank that reloads in 4 seconds, and that will stay 4 seconds no matter what happens, thanks to his autoloader. It has a small profile when in position and a unique ability to have the last man standing feature, rendering this tank really survivable at times. So yeah, if you are looking for a unique tank that has a slower paced gameplay, I think you might enjoy the S-Tanks. Maybe even the C, which is at 8.7. I surely do.
And last but not least, we have HeroBudu.
Hi there, my pick for this video would be the French ARL-44 tank. No, not the ACL-1. Now, you might be wondering why I chose a wannabe heavy tank, but there's actually a very good reason for that. You see, not only does it have good upper front plate armor, but the 90mm gun is pretty good for BR 5.3. Especially with the new PCO-50 shell that penetrates almost anything it faces. Also, you have very high muzzle velocity, making it easy to aim at distances. Additionally to that, the gun also feels like it has a stabilizer. Wait, why is that? Surely it's not because it's slow or anything like that, right? Okay, well, it has good turret armor, right? Let's see. Oh, the mantle is only 16mm and the back is 20mm. Anyway, the reload time is also very good. No? Let's just check the War Thunder Wiki for pros. Hey, at least it looks cool, and if you get into position you can do some great sniping. I've had a ton of great ARL-44 games. Now, let's be real here, despite its countless contrapoints, it's actually a pretty decent tank for 5.3. And if you play it right, you can dominate the entire lobby left-handed, trust me. Also, the ARL-44 holds a special place in my heart because in real life it's quite rare, and I got the opportunity to check one out in my recent video. So yeah, in my opinion you at least have to give the ARL one try. It also makes a great lineup with the Jumbo and the EBR.
So what do you think? Are you inspired to try out some of these vehicles from the video? Well, if not, then of course the comments are always open, and I'd love to hear your take on some other underrated vehicles. And of course I want to thank all of the creators who participated in this video, and their channels will be linked below. And also I want to thank you, the viewer, for making it all the way to the end of the video. So if you enjoyed collab videos like this, then maybe the next video will be right up your alley.